everyone, I'm Lilah McDonald, a teenage social entrepreneur and founder of Water Us. I'm also host of NZ Business Magazine's podcast, Sustainably Ever After. Proudly brought to you by Office Max, New Zealand's leading workplace and education solutions provider. I'll be exploring the incredible world of sustainability and entrepreneurship. On this podcast, I'll be talking to guests who are making waves in the world of sustainability. Those who have built businesses with a purpose, those striving to make their companies greener, and those leading the charge for social and environmental change. This episode, I will be talking with a mother-daughter duo, Macie and Nicole Stewart. Nicole owns Junk and Disorderly, a secondhand goods store, and her daughter Macie is the founder of Kinship, a coffee shop with excellent iced chocolate.
At Office Mags business accounts, pay less. Sign up at officemags.co.nz/payless. Let's get it done. T's and C's apply.
Thank you both for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
So what's your background, Nicole?
Actually, my whole entire background has always been secondhand. I've been doing it since I was basically 18, so there's not a lot else there to show you the truth.
How did you get into it?
It was something that I just knew I was always going to do it. So probably the first thing I bought or got when I was secondhand was when I was 8 years old. And from that moment on, I was always interested in anything secondhand. I would go garage sailing, I would go to flea markets, I would go secondhand shops. And it's just completely been my life.
So were your parents also interested in that kind of thing?
My parents had a secondhand shop.
Okay.
That came probably later on. So it was something that, that kind of developed at a later stage.
So then did you always know that you wanted to start something like Junk and Disorderly?
100%, yeah. I knew I was going to be a secondhand dealer probably from 15. Knew that was always going to be the way that I would go. And I've never really deviated from that plan, never wanted to be something else, still love it, still love getting up and not knowing what treasures I'll find for the day. So yeah, it's amazing.
So tell me a little bit about Junk and Disorderly.
Oh, I'm not sure where to start with that one. So Junk and Disorderly initially in 1991 was just me. And I was in a very small shop in Northcote Point and quite quickly realised that it was going to be too small and it was going to be too hard to do on my own. So my then boyfriend, now husband, also came in with me at that time, and he would basically be my muscle. So when you were buying big lounge suites and bigger estates and stuff like that, he would help me move it and stuff like that. But now he's completely evolved and is also probably one of the main buyers, does merchandising, does everything as well in the business. We've had 6 different locations.
Wow.
We were on the North Shore for 28 years, but we've been in Central City and Balmoral now for 6, and we're loving it. But that was purely just because we outgrew our buildings, or our last building actually was zoned for development, so we had to go. Yeah, I suppose that's it. And yeah, and then children came along and they got involved and grew up behind the till. And yeah, it's probably the true definition of a family business.
So in your opinion, have you seen an increase of secondhand trading since you first started?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen an increase in it, but because we've been doing it for such a long time, there's been a lot of different changes within our industry. You know, when we set up, there was no internet, so there was no online sales or anything like that. So everything was sold via the shop. There wasn't the amount of charity shops that there now is. And yeah, it was probably the more alternate people that were into secondhand shopping, or the antique collectors, or the hardcore sort of, people that were collecting a particular thing. Whereas now it's a lifestyle for a lot of people, and I really love how it has become a younger sort of person's way of buying their clothes or their furnishings or just everything.
So do you mainly source your goods from online, or?
We don't source our goods from online at all. That would be the last place we would buy them.
Okay.
Possibly sell them online. We source our goods direct from people. So it could be mum and dad that have been in the house for 30 years and downsizing and moving into an apartment. Could be deceased estates. Could be people moving overseas. Just could be people having a good declutter and cleaning out. But yeah, no, we don't buy online.
Do you have any standout things that you remember having bought that you really loved?
Oh, there's a lot of those. My gosh. I was obviously a collector before I was even a dealer, so there's lots of things. And when people ask me that question, I often wonder if they're talking about standout as in monetary value, but to me it's never about that. Usually something I like and I think is an amazing find could be something that's rusty and old and actually worth nothing, but I think I can turn it into something and adapt it to something really cool. But yeah, I don't know if there's one thing. Yeah. I bought my ball dress for 50 cents at a garage sale and I thought that was pretty special. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Corner couch?
Oh yeah, I've got one particular couch that I've had for many years now that I actually think I found it on the side of the road initially, and it's just the most amazing bright orange corner couch, and we actually keep it in our hireage department, and it's been on many TV shows. It's been in the art gallery for certain exhibitions. Yeah, it's fantastic. That is probably one of my faves.
It's had an amazing
actually,
life.
Now you say that, yeah, that's one of my faves. It's getting a bit kind of rough around the edges now, but I'll still hold on to it.
That's awesome. So I believe you were also shown on a TV series called The Block.
Yes. We've been on The Block a few times, actually. Yeah. And we love that because, it means that the rooms that they're doing and stuff like that have just a little bit of difference rather than all being out of a catalogue or being a bit new. But yeah, we've been on a few, and I think we were kind of running a really good line at one point, and everyone that bought from us ended up being one of the winners.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that come about,
I'm not sure how the initial one was because we were in the very first block and they ended up having a challenge and they had to buy something that they could then repurpose and put in one of their rooms. So it was a way, I suppose, of showing on national TV how you can buy something, upcycle it, make it look really cool, not cost much, and also do something good for society and the fact that it's not going to end up as part of the landfill.
So do you think that exposure helped educate people on the benefits of buying secondhand then?
I'm not sure if The Block is. I think that just more education and awareness around intentional buying, what we're doing in relation to fast fashion. I mean, there's fast furniture as well. Things are now made only to last a couple of years and we've become the throwaway society. And I think that education and just awareness has increased the need for more secondhand things that are.
So you mentioned before that when you started there weren't as many secondhand stores and things like that. So I'm guessing the competition is also growing. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. We've always looked at it not as competition because that's the great thing about secondhand. If you go into 5 secondhand shops in one day, you're never going to see the same thing. Every shop is going to be different. So yeah, it's not competition. I think that we're all part of the same industry trying to do the same thing. So yeah, anyone that wants to get into it, go for it.
Fair enough. So you also, I think, have a market.
We do. So we started up a flea market in 2019 as a sort of awareness thing when we moved Junk and Disorderly from the North Shore to Central City. But we also did it because honestly, when I was young and started, I used to go to 5 flea markets in Auckland on a Sunday morning, every Sunday. And they were all about people selling their secondhand stuff and clearing out the garage and, just used to find the most amazing things. And I just found through the years that more and more of the markets became more new-based reseller stuff, more imported Alibaba, Temu, not trying to put any of that down, but the market's just changed. And so we thought, after visiting a few overseas, that we would like to kind of start up something that was purely about being secondhand and vintage stuff.
Awesome. So how's that going?
Fantastic. It's actually grown so much it's turned into a bit of a monster, which is amazing and we're so grateful for it. But it's also just so cool to see how everyone else has embraced it and how, that they're into selling their things to buy more secondhand things. So it's usually the store holders are trading amongst themselves as much as, they go home with other people's things, which is really cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I've been to some of your markets, and also I've been to a lot overseas, and I will say, yours is very similar. It's very cool.
Thanks for that. That's what we're really trying to, yeah, absolutely. That's what we want, and we want to stay true to that. Lots of people have tried to get in selling various other things, and we just are really strict with our policies.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So how have you seen trends and attitude change in buying secondhand? Because you've been doing this for a long time now.
Sure. Yeah, we have. We've seen lots and lots of trends through our time in the industry. Probably the biggest one was online, and we lost a lot of secondhand shops over that time because people couldn't compete with other people selling online, and so it was easier for them to close their doors and not have the overheads and the costs of being a bricks and mortar store and just being purely about selling online as themselves. We decided not to do that because, it can't all be about money. So we loved the social side of what we did as much as the buying and selling. So we love, the people that come in and buy from us. Some of them are now third generation. So we've traded with their grandparents and we're now trading with them. So that's really, really lovely. Yeah, that's probably the biggest change, but it's done a full spin now, and in relation to the flea markets, charity shops and stuff like that, the whole thrifting thing is massive. So yeah, it's completely changed.
Do you have any advice for people that would want to start something like Junk and Disorderly?
Just make sure it's something you really love and you're really passionate about, because you're not going to be rich. It's definitely a lifestyle. It's not just about your occupation. It's the way that you live. It is about. So I can't be buying and selling secondhand stuff in the store and then going to Westfield after work and buying stuff there, because that's just not what we're about. So it's something you've got to truly believe in. Yeah, but give it a go. Maybe start off small with a market stall, and then just increase it with maybe a social media presence and some online trading, rather than diving straight into a full-on blown bricks and mortar.
So, Macie, on to you now.
Yes.
What was it like growing up in your household? Nicole mentioned you were quite involved from a young age.
Junk Junior, we used to call it.
Yeah, that was my nickname.
Yeah.
My upbringing was super, super cool, honestly. I couldn't fault it. Just growing up in a secondhand world, watching pieces get reused and refurbished, and just the longevity of some of the pieces that Mum and Dad had was super cool. It had 10 lifetimes before I'd sat on that couch, and just knowing that each piece has its own story is just super awesome. But yeah, I'm definitely just like my mother.
Absolutely.
I have now made myself a rule that I have to take one piece back in if I want to take a piece home, because I just don't have enough room for all the stuff I want.
Fair enough.
But that's the cool thing about secondhand and being in a secondhand world is I have a forever changing lounge room. I have a forever changing bedroom. I have forever changing plates in my cupboard. It's just super, super awesome. And going back to that, every piece I've ever used in my entire life has had a lifetime before I've used it. And I mean, why is that not cool,
So did you also wear and use secondhand growing up?
Yes.
So your whole life?
Yep. Whole life. Literally, my whole 23 years has been eat, breathe, sleep.
Yeah. Being baby number 4, she would get something that had been worn by
4,
if not 5 others.
I talk about that with my friends all the times. I don't think I owned a new piece of clothing until I was about 16 years old, because I just had 3 older siblings that just kind of rotated through their wardrobe. And then before that, all my cousins, my older siblings wore all my older cousins' clothes. It's just
a cycle.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was it difficult? I'm a teenager, so I kind of know as well as anyone that when you're my age, there's so many trends growing and changing so fast. Was it hard keeping up with that or not keeping up with that wearing secondhand?
It is super hard. Sometimes you feel if you're going out with your friends, sometimes you feel you're not up with the trends and stuff like that. But I guess because I was born and bred into a secondhand world, I knew the importance of that. And so I just owned it. It is really easy to fall into the trap of wanting to be a part of a trend, though. And I've definitely been there in my teenage years, wanting to wear my friends' clothes because they were new and they were the trendiest clothes at the time. But coming back to that, I knew the importance of secondhand, and because it's kind of all I knew growing up, it felt easier. And that's what I just had to revert back to every time I thought differently.
Did growing up around a family of entrepreneurs influence you to start Kinship?
It sure did. I mean, it is in my blood. I knew that it wasn't for the weak. It is a hard job, and it's not something you can step away from. You have to give your all to it, which starting a business so young is a really hard concept, because you're like, oh, I have the flexibility to do whatever I want, but that's not how it rolls. You've got to fully commit, and it is 24/7. It's nonstop. Even when you're out with your friends, there's still a list of things that you've got to do for your business. And when you have, like Mum said, when you have regular customers that are showing face all the time, you've got to kind of keep that expectations of what they've seen before, you know?
Yeah. Live, eat, sleep.
Yeah, literally. 24/7, nothing else.
That's why you've got to make sure you love it.
Yeah.
Nicole, were there any kind of key values or skills that you tried to teach Macie growing up?
Oh, I think that the main thing for anybody is pick what you're doing and make sure that you're really happy. I think it's just really important to be really happy and a really nice person. And however you treat someone, that's how they're going to treat you, or hopefully that's how they're going to treat you. And that's the most important thing, full stop. Be happy and treat people really well, and then hopefully everything else will fall into place. Got to work hard, but we're there to support you. Yeah. Got your back.
How did you start Kinship? Because I think it was a part of Junk and Disorderly, and now you have your own shop in Takapuna. So what was your journey to get to that?
When I was in school, you know what it's like. You're kind of forever changing your career and what you want to do, and there's a lot of pressure on you to decide what you want to do and commit to that. I got a part-time job on the weekend to earn a little bit of coin so I could go to the flea market with Mum and spend it on new clothes. And so I got a part-time job in a coffee shop. I quickly fell in love with hospo and still helping Mum and Dad on the weekends as well. I knew that I wanted to do something that involved people, but still it was just a part-time job. I left school and was still really confused on what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, if I wanted to go to uni. I went full-time at the coffee shop I was working at and was like, I'll just do this for now while I kind of figure that out and not rush myself into anything, which Mum and Dad were super supportive of. And I just didn't look back. I loved hospo so much. I loved seeing regulars. I loved meeting their families. Like, that connection for me was everything. I outgrew my first job, just as you do, like, changed so much and needed an out. So I left and worked for friends part-time, and then Mum and Dad lost a staff member. So I helped them out for a bit, and someone from Ozone Coffee came in and was like, oh, you guys should do coffee in here, because me and Mum had been going there for coffee in the morning. And we're like, hey, why not?
Let's do it.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. The idea of drinking a coffee and walking around a treasure trove is so cool. It slows everyone's experience down. Mum and Dad know that because they've had a coffee shop in their past shop. It just kind of adds to that vibe of the shop in general.
Definitely enhances your experience when you come in. It slows, as Macie said, it slows them down. You know, they've got their hot coffee and their lovely old Crown and cup, and they're walking around the shop, and it's just a much nicer experience for them. So we were really excited that we could have her in there doing what she loved, and we could still use her when she wasn't making coffee.
Yes. And then COVID hit, so we adapted, as every business had to adapt, and we did coffees from the front door once they allowed it. I built up a massive regular community there because everyone was working from home in that period. So they'd go out for their morning walks. They'd come and see me and show me their newborn baby, and, you know, and we'd catch up on life. I'd make them a coffee and I'd see them the next day. And then COVID was over and we were back to usual, and Mum took my nephew to Park Ave Dairy, which used to be our go-to ice cream shop when we were little kids, and she realised that it was closed.
I was really devastated. The best ice cream shop in town was closed. It was like, how
they did the biggest scoops of ice cream.
Yeah, I'd been talking it up with my grandson and all, and it was, sorry, no ice cream tonight.
But we loved that premise so much, and we were kind of like, what's the harm in just inquiring about it and seeing what the deal is? And here we are almost 3 years later, and we have Kinship number 2 in Takapuna.
Wow, that's amazing. So, Macie, you were also quite young when you started Kinship.
Yeah.
You're only 23 now, and how long have you had it for?
I opened up Kinship in Mum and Dad's shop, I think like 3 weeks before my 20th birthday.
Yeah, you were still 19.
19, yeah.
So, yeah, quite young. What were the biggest challenges of doing that so young, really?
Honestly, the biggest challenge, and something I already knew deep down because my parents are entrepreneurs, is being self-employed is hard. You have to make everything work, and it is 24/7, like we said. So I did feel like because I was so young, I missed out on a chunk of like my teenage life, that my friends were going to uni and, you know, that kind of vibe, which I knew wasn't what I wanted to do, but there is still like this internal, like you feel like you...
FOMO.
Yeah, you feel, you know, I just felt like I missed out on that, and I gravitated away from my friends because there was just a massive gap in where we were at in our lives. Something that I've closed that gap on now with where I'm at, but I think that was definitely the hardest thing, is like feeling the pressure to try and do everything, and that was for my business and outside of business as well, which was unrealistic.
I mean, yeah, you've done so well. I'm a huge fan of Kinship, and my parents go there every day, as you know.
Yes.
And, you know, you, like you said, you've created such an amazing community there, and I think it's really cool. So can you tell me a little bit more about Kinship?
Yeah, so Kinship was, once we had the opportunity to open up a coffee shop in Mum and Dad's, I didn't have a name, and my brother told me to sit down and write down why I was doing it, why I loved hospo, and it was all about people and human connection, and how much we'd missed human connection with COVID as well, because it was kind of around that time. And the word kinship came about because it incorporated that importance of human interaction and human connection. That was my main goal. I mean, I wanted to serve delicious coffees and work with really cool suppliers, and I did that, but my massive goal was just that community aspect, and wanting to see the same faces every day and new ones, wanting to create something bigger for people, like it's an escape, you know. And Mum and Dad did that with their business, and that's what I wanted to incorporate into mine as well. Like Drunk and Disorderly, everyone always says that, like, you feel like you just like escape from all of your worries and thoughts because you're just like so focused on your surroundings. And I wanted Kinship to be like that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much, I think that you've succeeded in that, definitely. You've got really lovely community there. Lots of, yeah. Whenever I pop in, I always see you got or, you know. Or baby Toby that's grown up over the last few years, or, you know, it's really lovely, especially with the young families and people that you follow throughout those years. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was my main goal, and so I'm glad that you guys think that. Super cool. Yeah.
So I guess from this interview, I've heard that for both of you, what you do is a lot about community and a lot about passion. Is sustainability much incorporated into your businesses? Is something that you think about?
Yeah, I mean, you can start with that one because Drunk and Disorderly is...
I mean, in principle, yeah.
I can say initially it probably wasn't something that I had taken into account. It was just something that I was really into. I loved being different, and I loved, you know, I loved everything about it. But over the last sort of 10 years is definitely something that is a big part of our business. And that's not just our bricks and mortar. It's the way that it's the people we deal with. It's the suppliers. It's the way that, you know, the cars that we're driving within our business, the banks that we bank with. We try and do business as close to our store and as local, you know, as we possibly can. And we try to... Our business community would be people with all the same sort of sustainable practices that we have ourselves. I think it's really important. Yeah, definitely. And our customers, you know, especially our young customers, it's all about that. So we learn from them as much as what we can teach them. You know, they come in and tell us some good pointers and stuff like that. But
yeah. And on that is how Mum said the people that they deal with. That was the sole thing behind my business, making sure that I am working with like-minded people.
Sure.
Ozone has been a massive supporter in helping me constantly learn about sustainability and what I can do to better my business. They are B Corp certified, so they have gone through the longest process to eat, breathe, sleep sustainability. So surrounding myself with people like Ozone and Otis Oat Milk and Almighty, like all my suppliers, allows me to, if I have a question on sustainability or a different company to use or anything like that, I have them as a sounding board, which has been super awesome. And like Mum said, like sustainability is a forever ongoing conversation on changing and adapting and doing new stuff. So yeah, I feel like from younger generations and older generations, we're just learning every day about sustainability.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, our customers even bring in their packaging so that we can reuse it. So it's great for us. We're not buying any packaging, so we're not having to, put anything back into the world that's not already there. They're not putting it in their rubbish bin. So it's a real circular sort of thing amongst our community, which is really cool.
Mm. Yeah, so Macie, you said that a lot of your suppliers, help you be more sustainable. And I guess some parts of, it would seem, having a coffee shop are just unavoidably not so good for the environment. Like, I assume that there's quite a lot of waste and things like that.
Yep.
Have you seen any interesting sustainable practices coming into the hospitality industry?
Yeah, we casually on and off use food print. They are a super cool sustainable company that you can put up day-old pastries at a cheaper price. So we've casually used them. I think they're a really cool system. There's also a local guy that will pick up day-old pastries, or we do toasted sandwiches. So same with toasted sandwiches, and he'll make them into something else and then feed them back into retirement homes or like any kind of place like that, which is super cool. We also have just really focused on our ordering systems and making sure that when we do have days where there's wastage, trying to figure out why. Was it just a quieter day, or is there certain things that aren't moving for us anymore? Again, it just goes back to that constantly adapting, but food print is a massive one that I know that lots of hospo spots use, which is super cool.
Cool. So if you both had one piece of advice for other entrepreneurs, what would it be?
Oh.
Or two or three.
Yeah, there's so much. I think one of the things I said to Macie when she decided to be an entrepreneur was to build a really good team. So make sure the people sitting at your table are vested in what you're doing and the way that you want to do it. And it has to be your own team. So I didn't want her to take on board our lawyers or accountants or bankers. It was really important that she built her own relationships with those people and built her own team. And I think that that's really important. Yeah. And just knowing that don't punish yourself when you make a mistake. We all make mistakes. Just
all the time.
Yeah. You just got to correct it, take a lesson from it, learn something, and then move on and adapt your business in a better way.
I'm ditto to Mum's comment. That is probably one of the best pieces of advice that I received going into being self-employed. If you create a good team around you, they're only going to lift you up. Another piece of advice is your idea on things change. And if you don't love what you do anymore, it's okay to change. It's never too late in life. And as cringe as that sounds, it's like the absolute truth. Like Mum knows that she can, if she wanted to, she can walk away tomorrow and go and study and do something else if that's what she wanted to do. Absolutely. And I know I can do the same as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you just need to, if there's something different you need to do, or there's something you need to do in a different way, then do it. Yeah. Don't feel that you're locked in.
No, be ready to adapt.
Absolutely.
And adapt if need be.
Yeah. And if you're not happy, then make a change.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So this is a question for both of you again, but what do you want your legacies to be for future generations? Macie, I know you're a while off of thinking about this, but...
Wow, that's a really big question. What do I want my legacy to be?
I'm going to talk on Mum's behalf. I think that she has left a legacy already. Seeing the following behind the Central Flea, Jung Disorderly, has been absolutely moving. And is the reason that I am who I am today.
Oh, you have to make me cry now.
But it is just like creating an open space for someone to do what they want is super cool, and Mum's done that. So that's her legacy done.
Oh, thanks, Mace. I appreciate that.
But yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Sorry it wasn't that.
That's okay. That's cool. That's a great answer. Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet.
Both criers.
We're both criers.
Yeah. We like a good cry.
Cool. So thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been so cool hearing, both of your stories and your backgrounds. And for everyone listening, I recommend you go check out Junk and Disorderly and Kinship. And yeah, I'd also like to thank everyone listening. That was Macie and Nicole Stewart, and I'm Lilah McDonald. A special thanks to sponsors of this podcast, Office Max, whose vision is to empower sustainable and successful workplaces. Learn more about how they can help your business at officemax.co.nz. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and stay tuned to nzbusiness.co.nz for more details on upcoming episodes and bonus podcast material. Let's make our world more sustainable, one story at a time. See you soon!
At Office Max business accounts, pay less. Sign up at officemax.co.nz/payless.
Let's get it done.
T's and C's apply.